Alex, you got the result you needed. Probably not the prettiest of performance, and you may well play much better and lose. But you must have been pleased with the type of crosses, the energy, the movement in the midweek game.
Yeah, I think there always comes a point where results are more important than performance. I do believe though that you need to perform well to consistently win games. I mean, you can't not perform well. What I will say is, but we expected that type of game for Luton. They make it a one for one game. They play right up against you, so there's very little sort of space for manoeuvring. Which means if you do win your battles, you do get the better of your man, you do sort of match them stride for stride, then you've got every chance of getting on top. And you need moments of quality, and we had moments of quality. So I think the pleasing thing from our point of view, you could see the determination in the players. That was our highest distance of the season this year in terms of high intensity, all the running that we've done. So you could see the determination for the players, and particularly the fact that that was our fourth game in quick succession. I think that's really pleasing for us.
So on to West Brom, last game before the break. They won their last two, particularly the one against Queen's Park Rangers, which it might have surprised everybody winning away. You have a great respect for their manager. How do you think they'll set up against Stoke?
Well, I think he's very flexible to start with. He's played 3 games. He's played a back four twice and played a back three in the first game. I watched the game last night against QPR. I thought first 30 minutes were excellent. I thought QPR, to be fair, second half were good as well. So, yeah, it'll be a tough match. They've got good players. I mean, they're in a false position, let's be honest. That team get put together to get out of the league. It didn't get put together to survive. So, and to be fair, Steve, when Steve was there, their underlying stats in that team were remarkable. They were one of the least sort of faced shots in the league out of the other teams, and I think they had the second most shots in the league when Steve was there as well. So I don't quite know what it was that didn't click, obviously, because results obviously speak volumes. But I watched quite a few of their games, and I think the game against Watford on the TV was an absolute travesty that they didn't win. If it was 4-0 at half time, nobody would have batted an eyelid. I thought they were great. But as we know, sometimes that can happen. It happened with Chris Wilder at Middlesbrough as well. Their stats were excellent and just couldn't really quite get the results that were needed. So, but obviously they've got a new manager now, and they'll be trying to get up the table as quick as they can. So 2 results will certainly give everybody a bit of confidence. I think everybody for this game, it's the last hurdle into it before this break, so everybody will want to go in it in a positive, and we're no different.
You've said before that the first goal is really important, and it seems this year that in the Championship a lot of teams aren't recovering when they go a goal down, particularly away from home. How important is it for Stoke to get at least a result, given the fact you just mentioned there's a long break now?
Yeah, I think mentality-wise it'd certainly be helpful. I think it'd put us a better place in the league, which naturally is better. But yeah, if you look at our results of late, the last 8 we've won 4 and lost 4. So if you said, listen, we'll take a 50% win ratio out of the games, you'd snap my hands off for that. It doesn't feel that way though, and it doesn't feel that way because our home record's not been particularly great. So it was pleasing we got a home win. A couple of the games that we won at the start of that run rather than at the end of the run, but we've won the last 2 out of 3. So it's certainly not all doom and gloom. I mean, I think we've made good progress. I think we're really competitive, but I think key moments are a deciding factor for us just now in terms of, do we get the first goal? Do we have enough quality when we get any good areas? And I think in the last game we produced that. This game is going to be a really difficult match for both teams, I think. And I think that I see both clubs as very similar in the fact that I've been to West Brom quite a few times, and if they don't start well, it can get a little bit restless at times. So yeah, we just need to go there and try and sort of put our style onto them, and hopefully we can go into this break with a good positive momentum.
You've said that you don't go on groups of games and you don't look at results apart from individually,
Yeah.
but given that we're going into a break and there's a chance that you might be closer to the playoffs if you win tomorrow, surely that would be a benefit and you'd want that to happen.
Yeah, listen, it's a massive carrot for us. What we spoke about in the last game was making sure that we need to do what we need to do to get up the table. It was vitally important, and obviously I think for this one in particular, if West Brom win, they go closer to us again and sort of draws back in. If we can win, then we get further away. So yeah, every game's got a massive motivation for a variety of reasons, so this one's no different.
You've had a lot of players out with injury. You've got most of the group back together now. One of the most important things for a coach is adapt to the players' needs. Are you now in a position where you know enough about the players because people have been off with injury to be able to do that?
Yeah, I still think it's a little bit of work in progress, if I'm honest, because we haven't had everybody back at the same time. You know, so what's happened is we've had bits and pieces back, and then we go brilliant, and then we lose this one, and then it's so. To get to that stage, really, you want to have everybody available and you can marry them all up together and look at combinations. What we've tended to find is when two come back, one drops out. So, yeah, it's not been ideal in that sense. But as you say, we're in a better shape now than what we certainly were when I came in. We spoke about injuries a lot. You know, I think at one point we had like 12 on the treatment table, which is basically half the squad. Whereas now we seem to be in a better place, which is good. So yeah, I think the lads have got a good understanding of what we're trying to do. You know, I think we're quite flexible in how we play, and we've done that mid game, we've done it before games, we've done it during games. So yeah.
Harry Souttar obviously played virtually the full game, and well, he did play the full game. But how's he feeling? Has he recovered okay? No problems?
Yeah, yesterday's always sort of second day recovery. So what ends up happening is yesterday's probably the worst he'll feel. You know, normally 24 hours after the game, it doesn't really kick in. It's normally the second day. So we'll take a view on him this morning, and then we'll see how we go for the match.
No other major knocks from the game?
Not really, no. Not as far as I'm aware at the moment, no.
And how's Sam Clucas coming along, because he's sort of disappeared out the picture?
Yeah, he's had an issue with his back, Sam. So we've took a few sort of opinions on it, really. So yeah, I don't think we'll see Sam anytime soon.
And Jordan Thompson, is he available for selection now?
Jordan Thompson's available. He had a wee baby, which is great, and they're doing well.
Good. Stoke have got a new technical director, Ricky Martin. You obviously know him from previous employment.
Yep.
How will that work for you? I mean, obviously you're delighted, but how will it work in terms of, will it take pressure off you, or?
Yeah, what Ricky will basically do is, obviously you've got different facets of every club, but my job's at the moment is you get old style managers, don't you, that want to oversee everything, whereas I want to get on the grass, I want to get the work done, I want to get in the analysis room and prep for the games. What Ricky will basically do is he'll be the driver behind all the departments. Do you know what I mean? So albeit me and Ricky work together, as you know, I've known Ricky a long time. And he did a similar role for me at Norwich as well. So he'll basically oversee the recruitment department, he'll oversee the academy, he'll oversee the sports science, the medical, and then he'll basically sort of, me and him will obviously discuss what we need to do and things like that. So what it does do is it allows me to focus mainly on the footballing side of things. Obviously in terms of all the other facets of the club, obviously I'll have sort of control of them and sort of helping what we're going to do next and how we shape things. But yeah, from his perspective, he'll be a welcome help. I think since obviously the likes of Tony Scholes left, who was the chief exec, obviously John's got his own sort of day job to sort of contend with as well. I think we've needed somebody that is going to come in and sort of fulfil that role. And what it allows us to do is have better control over every facet of the club, and make sure that everything's pushing high performance. Whereas sometimes if departments are just left to their own devices, it becomes more difficult to keep a handle on it. So all that will be taken care of, which is great.
When you look about the ownership of this football club, some people think it's great, some people think maybe the club is right for a change. From your perspective, clearly you wanted this gentleman to come in. How important is the backing of the club to you in terms of recruitment of staff as well as players?
The backing of the club is why I came here. Do you know what I mean? It really is as straightforward as that. And I find it staggering anybody who would suggest that this club needs anybody else to run it, because the best thing that's happened to Stoke City, in my perspective, has been the Coates family. I mean, if anything, they've been overly generous in terms of what they've tried to give the club. I think over a number of years for different reasons, because what you need to understand is when you come down, your basic task is to get back up. Do you know what I mean? So naturally, as years go by, circumstances change, and what I think the family have done is went, right, what do you need? There you go and get us out of the league. But what happens after that, obviously, because we've got some restrictions which are actually brought in for sustainability, but we're probably the most sustainable club you're likely to find. So they're not applicable for us, if you like. But we're still sort of sanctioned by them, which doesn't really make much sense. But as we go forward, circumstances change, don't you? And obviously, when you've got those restrictions there, the simple fact is, for in my opinion, with the owners, is the owners will basically do whatever they need to do to try and help this club be successful. We've got some restrictions that naturally make that much more difficult just now, because what we've done is we've probably made some errors, we've overspent in some sort of sectors before, and that naturally has a knock-on effect. So, but no, like this club, in my opinion, once obviously we sort of settle the ship a bit, there's only one way that we'll go.
And finally, the break's coming up. Do you think that this will be a forerunner for the much talked about winter break in football, and how would you feel about that?
I've never been used to a winter break, so it's not something that I would advocate, if I'm honest. You know, I think for us, because I've come in mid-season and basically just been given a whole batch of games and say, right, go and get ready, that's certainly not easy. But so I'm looking forward to the break, if I'm honest. You know, I think for us it'll be beneficial. But I think if I was at another team at the start of the season, done my pre-season, done all my prep stuff, I wouldn't want the winter break to come. I would want to just continue, because that's always been the way, really.
Thank you.
Cheers.
The West Brom game will be your 15th in charge. How would you sum up your start here at Stoke?
Probably mixed. Mixed is probably the best way to describe it. I think that we spoke about a lot of things in a few weeks, didn't we, in terms of getting confidence. I think building a rapport with our own fans. I think that try to break this sort of self-premonition of, like, we've done well, but it's going to go that way at some point. You know, I still think that lingers about, but the only way to change that is to consistently be successful rather than do well for a little bit and then drop off. I think getting players up to speed in terms of fitness, because we'd signed a lot of them on loan, they hadn't maybe done something at their parent club. Getting injuries back, and then obviously with Ricky coming in to then fix structurally things that need fixing and oversee departments to make sure everybody's driving performance. There's a lot being done, do you know what I mean? So, but what people only see is what happens on the pitch. But I'm a big believer in, if you can get everything off the pitch right and into a good place, that will transmit onto the pitch, and that takes a little bit longer than naturally just getting a set of players ready. And I think that, yeah, being mixed. You know, I think performances haven't always merited what they should have got. But if we look at where we currently are, I think we're sitting 15th in the league at the moment. We've not finished any higher than 14th in 5 or 6 seasons. So it's not as if anything's much worse off than what it's been in the past, if we're being brutally honest. I want to make sure that we at least try and finish in the top half this year. I mean, that's my aim. And that's just my own personal aim, and I think we're more than capable of doing that. So yeah, that's the first protocol for me, is make sure that we do better than what we've done, because that shows signs of progress.